The rain fell gently outside the Hartford estate, a grand mansion tucked into the hills above the city. Inside, warmth and elegance draped every corner, polished wood floors, chandeliers, portraits of stern-looking ancestors. But beneath the luxury, tension simmered like an old wound. David sat quietly at the long mahogany dinner table, his back straight, hands in his lap. He was used to the cold stares. The empty chair beside him had been Sophia's, but tonight she was running late. It was just him and the family that never wanted him. Still no job, David. Jason Hartford, Sophia's older brother, chuckled as he buttered his roll. You know, I hear the gas station down the road is hiring. Think you could manage that? Laughter erupted around the table, though a few chuckles were forced. David offered a polite smile, the same one he had perfected over the last 2 years. It said, I hear you, but I won't give you the reaction you want. I think it's sweet, said Sophia's mother, dabbing at her lips with a silk napkin. Sophia always did love projects. The comment stung more than David let on. Then the front door opened and Sophia swept into the room, breathless. Sorry I'm late, traffic was. She paused, sensing the atmosphere. Her eyes flicked to David, then to her family. Dinner's just started, her father said curtly. You didn't miss anything. She sat beside David and gave his hand a squeeze beneath the table. He smiled at her, grateful. Later, as dishes were cleared and coffee served, David offered to help the housekeeper carry trays to the kitchen. He always did, and the help always appreciated him. He treated them like equals, something the Hartford family rarely did. Back in the kitchen, the maid whispered, Thank you, Mr. David, you're too kind. Just David is fine, he replied with a wink. But no one knew that in a downtown skyscraper, just 10 miles away, David wasn't just David. He was David Wells, sole heir and current CEO of Wells Corporation, a quietly powerful holding company that controlled investments across real estate, tech, and renewable energy. His late grandfather had taught him, character is worth more than cash. Never trust people who only respect your wallet. When he met Sophia Smart, down-to-earth beautiful, he hadn't introduced himself as a millionaire. He wanted to be loved as a man, not a bank account. Even after they married, he continued the charade. Sophia knew he had money, but not the extent, not yet. She'd asked once if he wanted to tell her family the truth. He said, Not yet. I want to see who they really are. And now, 2 years later, he knew. Jason constantly mocked him, bragging about his flashy car, his failed startups, and his inherited investments. Sophia's parents made decisions for their daughter like David wasn't even there. They offered him help. A janitor job in Mr. Hartford's company. Charity more than opportunity. Even Lily, Sophia's younger sister, had joined in, snapping photos of David in his plain clothes and texting them to friends with captions like my sister's charity case. But David noticed something different in Lily one evening. She had come home early from university, tired, quiet, and more thoughtful than usual. She passed him in the hallway, noticed a thick envelope in his hand. Wells Legal Services, she read aloud, narrowing her eyes. What's that? Just paperwork? He said, sliding it into a drawer. Later that night, Lily Googled it. That was the beginning of the unraveling. Meanwhile, David continued his quiet routine. Early morning calls with international partners, quiet visits to charities. One evening, Sophia caught him loading boxes of supplies into the back of a van. Where are you going? She asked. There's a youth center downtown, he replied. They need new computers. I thought I'd donate some anonymously. She looked at him, love swelling in her chest. "Why don't you just tell them who you are?" He shrugged. "That's not the point. It's not about who gives. It's about the giving." But the cracks were forming. Lily started watching David more carefully. She followed him one morning and saw him stepping into a luxury car, speaking briefly to a driver in a suit. She watched him enter an office building with a sign that simply read, "Wells Holdings, private access only." She didn't confront him, she waited. Then came the Hartford family's 40th anniversary gala. Hundreds of guests arrived in glittering gowns and tailored tuxedos. The ballroom glowed under golden light. David showed up later than everyone else. When he stepped out of a sleek, black luxury car no one had ever seen him drive before, there was a hush. He was dressed in a tailored navy blue suit, gold cufflinks glinting beneath his sleeves. He walked with quiet confidence, not arrogance, like a man who knew exactly who he was. The family was stunned. "David," Jason said, blinking. "You clean up? Well, thanks," David said with a polite smile. "It's nice to be appreciated." He found Sophia and kissed her hand in front of everyone. "What's going on?" she whispered. "You've never looked like this before." "Tonight's the last page," he replied softly. "It's time to close this chapter." The host of the gala stepped up to the stage and began reading a list of VIPs in attendance. Then David walked forward. "May I borrow the mic?" he asked. The host, slightly confused, handed it over. David looked out at the crowd, the Hartfords, their business partners, old family friends. "My name is David Wells," he began. "For the past 2 years, I've lived in your home. You thought I was jobless. You thought I was worthless. You ridiculed me, humiliated me, treated me as though I had nothing to offer." He paused, ... "But I stayed, because I wanted to see what kind of people you really are. I wanted to see if you valued character or only status." The room was dead silent. "I own Wells Corporation. I employ over 6,000 people. I donated the building this gala is being held in. And I did it all quietly, without asking for your approval. But tonight, I'm done hiding." He turned to Sophia. "You believed in me. You saw me before anyone else did. I think it's time we go home." He took her hand. She stood by his side. Together, they walked out of the ballroom, leaving the stunned Hartford family behind. As they passed Lily, she looked at him, eyes wide. "I knew it," she whispered. He nodded, but didn't stop. Outside, a convoy of cars waited. As the doors closed, the family came running. "David, wait. We didn't mean it. We're family." But it was too late. The doors shut. David and Sophia were gone. 10 years passed. A coastal mansion stood atop a hill, overlooking the endless blue sea. The laughter of children rang through the yard. David sat on a bench, 2 kids clambering onto his lap. Sophia emerged from the house, radiant, glowing with peace. She kissed him and sat beside him. A letter arrived, an invitation. Jason was getting married. The note at the bottom read, "Hope to see you there, brother. Maybe we can finally reconnect." David smiled. He folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Sophia looked at him. "You going?" He shook his head. "We already have everything we need." The camera pulled back slowly, revealing the house, the gardens, the joy, the love. And then the screen faded to black. The end.